What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Let's talk about Jamal Murray for a minute. I was venting in an unserious manner with Jackson during the game because I watched a certain player for my favorite team play with an illness in Game 3 of the Minnesota Timberwolves series. And there was just like no competitive fire at all. It was almost like Luka just kind of wanted us all to know he was sick. And I don't want to be, I don't want to jump to conclusions, so to speak, because you never know how sick Luka was or how sick Jamal was. But both players were questionable. Both players attempted to play. And I thought there was an obvious competitive fire with Jamal right away when he came into the game. And there were some stretches where he lost steam. There's a stretch there in that second quarter where you can tell it was getting to him a little bit. Kason Wallace had some success. He had a couple turnovers. But like he came right out the gates and was aggressive, both in his pull-up shooting situations and going to the basket. And you could see like Jamal, if you didn't know Jamal Murray was sick, you would have no idea watching that game. There was no kind of pouty body language or like exaggerating the symptoms that he was dealing with. He was like, fuck all that. My team needs me to win this game. And he went out there and just immediately brought that competitive fire and made play after play after play. I thought he was fantastic in the late third quarter run, really setting things up on offense. He was the guy that kind of set up those couple Julian Strawther buckets, got a big transition finish. Jackson was texting me during the game talking about his unbelievable finishing ability. He kind of has this remarkable talent to get into your body and then find these like below the rim finishing angles where he can, put it softly up off the glass from way off to the side. He can finish on either side of the rim in a way that like can even surprise you on the broadcast where you're like, is he going up on the strong side? Nope, he's going reverse, and you're like surprised as it's happening. And his supreme talent is he's just one of the great shot makers to ever play this game. Like if you really get down to it and you think about the guys who, again, that specific trait. I'm not talking about super high level point guard play, although I thought Jamal passed the ball really well tonight. I'm not talking about elite two-way play in the form of defense at the guard position. I'm not talking about some sort of indomitable downhill attack. But if you're strictly just synthesizing a player's game down to the ability to hit tough shots, the ability to hit jumpers off the move and off the dribble from every single possible footwork and dribble combination, there aren't many players that I've watched that are more gifted with that specific trait. And every one of those buckets he got tonight, they needed. I just think Jamal is a legend. It's hard to explain because I hated his guts when I was rooting against him as a Lakers fan, obviously. But like when I think about the players in the game that have the true competitive spirit, I always refer to this as like a hatred of losing, not a love of basketball. Obviously, you need both in order to have success at the highest levels. But there is like a competitive spirit you can see from a basketball player that manifests from a singular emotion, which is like a hatred and a fear of losing. I actually think that matters more than any other trait when it comes to basketball because it manifests in a willingness to do whatever it takes. And even when I think back to Jamal in his previous playoff highs, like in 2023, in 2022, he has, or I should say in 2023, he has like a defensive playmaking side to his game too, where he'll get into a spot in a big spot and put his body on the line for a charge or make a help side rotation where he'll get a big block. Or there was a big one he had in the Lakers series 3 years ago where he stripped LeBron on a key clutch possession on a help side off of the weak side corner. He'll fight for a contested rebound. There was one late tonight. It was in that crazy run when the Thunder were just ball pressuring like crazy and they forced all those turnovers in a row. And somebody missed a three off the right wing. I can't remember who it was. I think it was J-Dub. But a Thunder player missed a three, and like Alex Caruso comes flying in, and Hartenstein's flying in, and like the Thunder are still playing with that like chaotic energy. And who came up with the ball in the mix of all those players was Jamal Murray. Jokic was in there battling, and somehow the ball just ended up in Jamal Murray's hands. Because like we can be critical of Jamal in other ways. He takes the regular season less serious than a lot of his peers do in the league, and comes into camp out of shape and could probably stand to take care of his body a little bit better. But when it comes to the principal concept of winning basketball games in the playoffs, he's just one of the better guards that I've seen in this era because of his ability to shot make and because of his willingness to do the things that you need to do to win basketball games. And I thought tonight, should they win this series, if they go on the road and they win Game 7, I will think back to this Jamal Murray Game 6 against the Thunder very fondly as one of the better games in his career. So shout out to Jamal